Hey everyone, it's Michael, GoosebumpsFan. I hope you're doing well today. I have something a little bit different, as you could see or hear. And as the title shows, I think I want to do something very special. Today, if you didn't happen to know, is the 25th anniversary of my favorite Goosebumps episode at this current moment. It probably always will be. It'll be one of those things like certain Goosebumps books I've talked about that I think are my favorites pretty much of all time, like Ghost Camp, You Can't Scare Me, Wanted, The Haunted Mask. Anyway, today is Night of the Living Dummy 3, Part 1 and Part 2, which is really just one big episode. It premiered on the same exact day. It is the 25th anniversary of this very episode, the one that may possibly, I believe, be the one that got me into Goosebumps. I've always said in my reviews for the books, for the episodes of these, Haunted Mask and Night of the Living Dummy, Bride of the Living Dummy, all the things like that I have at some point come across Goosebumps when I was a kid, before it premiered on Cartoon Network, of course, during the 90s, but I never saw it on TV. I'm pretty sure it was either about to get canceled or it already was canceled by the time I came around, because I was born in 94. But by the time either 1999 or 2000 or 2001, somewhere in that ballpark, was when I went to Hollywood Video, where my family went, instead of Blockbuster Video, and I found 2 VHS tapes, one of Haunted Mask 1, there was also the Haunted Mask 2, I think DVD or something floating around. Anyway, I'm fairly certain, at some point, I'm fairly certain that Night of the Living Dummy 3 was my first ever Goosebumps episode. The more I've thought about it over the 3 years since I've done videos about this channel and making Goosebumps content as a creator, I myself am fairly certain that Night of the Living Dummy 3 is my personal first ever experience with this. I'd never heard of it outside of this, as far as I know. It's either this or the Haunted Mask 1. It's one of those two, I know for sure, because it was when VHS tapes were still around. I didn't have a DVD player, until probably 2002. So I am fairly certain I saw Haunted Mask 1 or Dummy 3 at some point first. Even so, no matter how much I love Haunted Mask 1 and 2, I think Dummy 3 is my personal favorite, as I've said. I think there's nothing that comes close to it in quality and scale and Timothy Bond's directing. And I want to talk about all those little things and little factoids and little memories that I have with my cousins and whatnot, and how much we loved this. The kind of love and the things that came out of this episode for me, and the things that it blossomed into over time with, me coming back to Goosebumps back when I had a back injury and so on and so on. Anyway, this is a commentary, as you can tell from the title of the video. Maybe even stated earlier on, I don't know. But this is a commentary video for me watching the episode along with you guys. So if you want to do that, if you just want to hear me ramble for 45 minutes about things having to do with the episode and things happening within the episode, then here you go. We're all together. Anyway, the original premiere of this two-parter, I'm so excited about this if you can't tell. It premiered on July 20th, 1997. That's crazy to me. 25 years ago. It's so wild. Anyway, it's about 45 minutes long, somewhere in that ballpark. Of course, my commentary at the beginning will add a few minutes on. At the very end, it probably will as well. I don't think I'll rate the episodes. I think I've already done that in my Goosebumps episode reviews for the original series. But man, this is so 1990s. I love it. But anyway, let's go ahead and start preparing to get into the episode itself. I hope you enjoy the commentary. I hope you stick around. And when I say press play, we'll press play together, okay? I got to bring up my little window here with the DVD playing on my actual laptop. So anyway, guys, here we go. Season 2, episode 24 and 25, back-to-back, the season finale of Season 2. Can you believe that? Wow. Anyway, let's start it up, and let's watch Night of the Living Dummy 3. And just so you know, for the proper setting to enjoy this episode, whether you're a kid, an adult, anything like that, you have to know that you've got to watch this in the dark. If you've never seen Dummy 3 in the dark, you need to. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. Anyway, let's go ahead and get ready to hit play. I want to check the window with its recording once again on my microphone. Anyway, let's go ahead and in 3, 2, 1, press play. Mine is just now starting now. Man, everything between the music of the beginning of this and the R.L. Stine ventriloquist dummy is just wonderful. I love the nostalgia of it. I love how there for a while, not too long ago, back when COVID first started up, I think there was a Q&A with R.L. Stine. I think I did a video covering some of the news he brought out from that. It was like a kids' child entertainment Zoom call type of thing with a library. I remember Stine brought out this little Stine-like dummy again, and I felt like only the Goosebumps fans from back in the day, not the modern kids, but back in the day, were the only people who remembered that. It was so funny and so cute, man. I love the puns, like, you're a little stiff. I love how the Stein dummy has a lisp, too. It's pretty great. I myself have a mild one, but, yeah. God, dude, every time I watch this. By the way, just in case you didn't know, I watch this every single year. I've watched it every single year since the first year I saw it, and that is probably roughly over 20 years of watching this. I don't know how old I was. I'm fairly certain I was about 4 or 5 when I saw this for the first time, but I became obsessed with it, dude. Just absolutely obsessed. I remember this opening here just giving me chills, along with so many moments with Slappy later on. I was like the kids they picked for this episode, too. They were always really good as actors and actresses. Oddly enough, Hayden Christensen is in this, which is crazy to me. I grew up a massive Star Wars fan. The prequels were my favorite growing up. And I loved that, but I never knew, oddly enough, I never knew that little blonde Canadian in Dummy 3 was Hayden Christensen, Anakin Skywalker himself. Blew my mind. Couldn't believe it when I found it out years later. I think I was probably 18, 19 when I found out about that. I don't know. I don't know if I found it out myself or what, but I feel like I found this out by myself when I was watching this one summer. I pretty much pick out July to watch this every single year, because July is that hot time of the year. You want to watch things like Tim Allen and Wild Hogs and, what else? Jaws, things like that. Play a lot of San Andreas and Vice City at that time of the year. Dude, this attic in this movie or episode, it's so close. It's like a modern adaptation of the old book cover that I love, of Dummy 3. But the Dummy 3 cover actually looks like my actual attic, where my wife's bedroom is. It's kind of cool with the wood paneling and everything. It always brings back those memories when I look at that book cover and think, oh, that looks like where I live. It's kind of neat. Rocky's voice always scared me too when I was a kid. I don't know about you guys, but just that Tina thing was terrifying. He's also modeled after a gangster. He has like that Marlon Brando look to him. I love it. He always looks cranky. Now, I think both of these two showed up in some different Goosebumps things. I cannot remember off the top of my head what they were in, but I know they were in different things. But again, I think they all did a pretty solid job in the episode. I like the dad, too. The dad and the mom are really fun in this episode. See, he's just such a kooky, goofy-looking dad. I like the haircut, I like the glasses, the bow tie. Well, who wears a bow tie in 1990s? I don't think people even do that now. with the hipster morons nowadays. I don't think anybody even wears bow ties these days. But they did back then, apparently. At least this guy did. I like the detail of Slappy's eye missing. But functionally, with how we know the eyebrow moves, the eye moves around and stuff in the dummy head, how would that even happen functionally? Like, seriously, has no one ever even thought of that? Because at one point, when they actually have the glass pop back out of his head in a moment, you can actually see the actor's fingers behind it where it pushed it out real quick before it cuts camera angles. I also have my little Goosebumps cup of ice water over here to drink while I think about this show and talk about it. It's also very late in case you happen to not know. It's about 4-ish. Yep, about 4. Zane is played by Hayden Christensen, as I said. Do you think that he ever gets this brought up to him at any point? Even after the Red Letter Media YouTube joke. about him, about George Lucas watching Goosebumps one day and picking out this kid. Do you think anybody says anything about him or to him about this, especially now that he's back in Star Wars with the Obi-Wan crap show? Do you think anybody actually brings up Goosebumps to him anymore? Because to me, this is one of the most iconic episodes. I think most people like this one, aside from Haunted Mask 1 and 2 once again, but to me, this seems to be one of the most memorable that people typically love, especially people who grew up on it. So I was wondering, if I would ever meet Hayden Christensen, I think he would be surprised how much more often I would talk about Goosebumps with him than Star Wars. You know? It's amazing how one cut from one angle to another can change up the glue job. Yeah, did you see that dude's fingers right there, or whatever that little stick thing was? Never noticed it as a kid, oddly enough. Just as an adult. Dan and Trina, the way they act, remind me so much of my cousins. Kristen and Trenton, who I pretty much grew up around as brothers and sisters. My parents split up probably about 2004-ish. And I pretty much spent every other weekend after that with my dad's side of the family, which my two cousins, Kristen and Trenton, actually lived at my grandparents' house over in that other part of Virginia. So, for whatever reason, when I got into Dummy 3, even before my parents split up, I was into this, but when I was, we all got into, like, ventriloquist dummies, dude. Like, I have a Slappy that has the head that moves around. I don't have, like, the moving eyes and Deluxe and all that. But I have that, and I have, I have a Danny O'Day. I used to have a Charlie, what is that famous dummy? Charlie something. I don't know. He was in some movies. But I have a lot of different ventriloquist dummies like that, or I used to, at least. I got rid of a lot of them at Goodwill, and I hate myself for it, because I saw the prices they went up to now. But where I was going with that is that this episode with the house and everything, not that my grandparents on my dad's side ever lived at a farm, but the episode itself, the look of the house, the look of the rooms, specifically the living room, remind me of rooms in my grandparents' old house before they moved, before my parents split up. And just the memories we had there of the dummies we would play with that we bought. And, you know, watching this episode over and over and over again on VHS tape and then DVD. The DVD I'm playing right now that I've owned for ages, I've watched constantly since I was a kid, and had the very famous that I constantly talk about on this channel, Skating Rink Birthday Party, where I got a lot of Goosebumps stuff for the first time ever, and the DVDs and whatever was available at that time, really. Not tons, but enough to have a collection that I've held on to for ages. Goosebumps has always been fun like that, though. It's a way to be starting up the conversation. You know the cow that we loved? Yeah, we ate it. The picture you took was at a completely different angle because, you know, Daniel looked right back at Zane, and somehow Zane is teleported like 3 feet to the side. Happened again. You know, it's got to be awkward to push your cousin awkwardly into modeling. Like, basically, in like a fashion show way. In the way that he did it. Not typically, but in the way he did it. Good job, Zane. I like the little musical stingers in Goosebumps episodes. You ever notice how sharp and good those things are? They're kind of satisfying, you know? They really shape what the episodes feel like, even though not all the episodes share those same stingers and musical tones and whatnot. It really works, and it works here especially. I think Dummy 3 really, really takes advantage of that and does it the best. I know a lot of people hate the look of Slappy because he doesn't look like the way he's described in the book with the blue eyes and the brown hair. I love the Dummy 3 Slappy. I think like the height of him, how tall he is better than in the Dummy 2 episode adaptation. I think it's better than Bride's Dummy because he's kind of short too. He looks like a little RC puppet you get at Walmart. But this one, I think, is the perfect height for Slappy. I love the look. I love the red hair. I think it adds a little bit of color to the episodes rather than just kind of a blandness, you know? But just in general, dude, I really, really, really like that version of Slappy. And when I was a kid, I always wanted a Slappy just like him. There was a YouTube video somewhere on YouTube that had somebody had homemade their own TV version of Slappy's Dummy, and not like the professional one you see GoosebumpsFan and a lot of other folks have. It's like a real one. The eyes move, the eyebrows jump up and down with really thick-looking cardboard eyebrows. The mouth has like the little shaped-out, weird-looking teeth and stuff. Dude, I would have killed for that version of Slappy when I was a kid. As an actual dummy, I would have never let it go. Just like I haven't let go of the dummy I have right now that's the book cover version of Slappy. I'm gonna tell you right now too, if they happen to put one out as a some kind of toy, as the Disney Plus show rolls out, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'll spend some $500 on that. I don't care what anybody says. If the mouth and everything moves, the eyebrows, eyelids, all that, if all that stuff moves just like this TV show episode version, dude, I'm telling you, I'm gonna drop that money. I don't care. I will do it because I love that and it looks great. Can you imagine having to clean up all the feathers like that? What do you even do with that? Do you sweep it? Do you vacuum it? What do you do? Dude, this angle right here always used to freak me out so bad when I was a kid. Even right now in the dark watching this, gives me a little bit of the chillies, the willies, whatever. It just shows how clever they were about making this show, man. Timothy Bond as a director is just brilliant in general. But just that slight, between the framing of that, the foreground of Slappy, the background of the dark rooms, Zane and the mom in the hallway, and the middle ground, all of that is a framing device. And then having the eyebrows and the eyes just slightly move, just slightly, is so ingenious. Absolutely, I love it. By the way, these stairs I think were also used for a couple of other Goosebumps episodes. I forgot which one, but I think one of them was Welcome to Dead House. Especially the upstairs attic is for sure used in the Welcome to Dead House episode adaptation. You know, tell me this. I know that Hayden Christensen is not the most amazing actor. As much as I love him, I know he's not. However, tell me that this is not one of the most memorable episode performances of a kid that you've seen. Because for me, it always stuck out. Not just because I love the episode, but because I genuinely like Zane, as tricky and conniving as he is. You know? But still, I always really liked his performance, just like I liked the Dan and Trina actor and actress. Where is this room even located? Is it in the attic? I don't think I ever found out. I just see sheets and stuff on the background stuff, so I just assume that that's what it is. By the way, when did Slappy, between yesterday and today, have the time for daylight and everything else to be able to re-picture, re-photograph all of these angles with the dummies going up and down the stairs constantly or all at one time, grabbing everything, making all the banging noises, not bringing Rocky to life yet? How did he do this? I mean, I know we're talking about children's fiction with a living dummy. I get it, but still. I love it. I don't think it was in the book. I don't remember. I've only read the book like maybe once or twice in my life, but I don't remember, but I loved it. I saw what's his face from Dummy 2 down to the bottom right corner underneath the the magnifying glass. What was that kid's name? The dummy that the head kept falling off. Dennis. Dennis, I think, is what it was. So is that one guy, that one dummy right there? He's kind of a dummy, kind of not. I don't think his mouth moves like a regular old dummy, even though the dad is supposed to be a ventriloquist dummy infatuate. Is that dummy from the Muppets? Or something like it? He looks like it. I love how there's a distinction between, and this isn't a thing in Dummy 2's episode, but there's a distinction between when the dad is making the slappy voice for himself, and it kind of sounds like a higher pitched version of his voice, versus the actual slappy voice that's actually, in my opinion, the best slappy voice ever made. I think it's creepy and it's scary, and kind of fun, and funny, all at once. Somehow. I love that room, man. You know, this sounds like a good idea for a situation like this with a fear of ventriloquist dummies. But it doesn't work for things like myself. I'm terrified of heights, terrified of fish, terrified of frogs, bugs, that kind of thing. I'm not going to play with spiders just because somebody thinks it'll help my fear. They're still ugly, they're still fat monsters that, well, particularly, what are they? Tarantulas. I'm not going to put a tarantula in my hand nor in my mouth to try to accommodate my fear and try to get over it. That's not going to happen. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. So, like, how did the dad not feel that little jerky motion when Slappy's leg went up? Or even the shift on his leg, like his lap, or the leg moved. It would have had to have gone up pretty far to kick Zane all the way in the shin. You know what I mean? Are those beets and carrots? That's gross. I can smell that picture, just the vinegar from the beets, dude. It just, oh god, that's so gross. Who eats that? You know, I'd understand if she was like angry, like ready to, smack the skin off her kids' tails or something. I get that, but it's like she's about to cry. Now she is sobbing over a clown turkey. You know, like why of all things would she start to cry? Wouldn't you just be mad and like start beating your kids? Like I don't know. It just didn't seem like the right reaction to me. Maybe it's an actress thing. Maybe it's a writing thing. I don't know. Maybe a directing thing. But I don't blame Timothy Bond. By the way, the DVD that I'm watching this on kind of transfers directly from episode 1 to episode 2 seamlessly, as far as I remember. I don't think there's like a credits break or anything like that. So, if you guys are watching with me, if you're watching on like Vudu or something where you have to buy each individual episode, you might have a problem here. So just try to line it up your best, I guess. I'm sorry. Tried to help you. I just don't believe that the parents wouldn't hear all that racket upstairs. I just don't. But honestly, what was he doing to make all that noise upstairs? He was supposedly just coming around, sneaking around, trying to find people, particularly Zane or her. But what the hell was he doing to make all that noise? Seriously. Yeah, Zane, just yell that out as loud as you possibly can. That moment of Slappy peeking around the curtain right there, or whatever that changing station is that you used to see in 1950s movies, that scene scared me, or that shot scared me so bad as a kid, dude. That looks like that Charlie ventriloquist dummy I talked about. Just like a different hair color. There's a Howdy Doody in here as well, and like a water tub thing, a drinking fountain that has like blonde hair. When I was a kid, I never realized that was a rubber mask on an actor. Or an actress in this case. It's actually a little girl from... What episode was it? She was an annoying little sister in an episode. I forgot what it was. But I've done the review and I talked about it at one point. I think I talked about it in this episode review. But it's a little girl in the Slappy outfit. It's so weird to me. Seeing the cutting back and forth between rubber mask Slappy and wooden carved up face Slappy is so well done. When I was a kid, I never noticed like the narrowing of the mouth and stuff, and like the chin and jaw and all that. It was just bizarre to me. Now, why does Rocky come to life doing the exact same voice that the dad made for him? Is it because of the love of the family that we have for that theme later on, or what? By the way, that yard's beautiful. Dude, I always wanted to try that lemonade in the cups. I mean, lemonade is lemonade to me. It's not one of those things like spaghetti or pizza that can taste different, you know? Lemonade is just, it always seems like it's a lemonade to me. But I always wanted to try that particular lemonade that she hands him. Such an odd choice for music for a Goosebumps episode. Who would have thought that would be the way to go for this? It was very romantic. Very 1990s romantic. You know, when you're driving by, you think you would have looked up and saw the little man in a tuxedo and not assumed it was one of your kids who don't have red hair? Or the cousin that's visiting that doesn't have red hair? What is this board game? I've always seen this. I think there was a Sims game one time I played that had this in it. I could be wrong. Maybe it's something else, but I played it somewhere else and I sucked at it. I never could figure out what it was. It was a video game version of that board game. Dude, there ain't no way if my cousins and I were home alone at my grandparents' house at the time, or any house for that matter, as kids at this age, there ain't no way that I would have went downstairs by myself where all the lights in the whole room and building are off and went and got sodas or anything for anybody by myself. Especially at the time where we were all into the dummy stuff. It wouldn't have happened, dude. There's blonde Howdy Doody. Do you think they had to do that? Like, to specifically get away from the whole copyright thing with Howdy Doody? Do they own Howdy Doody? Is Howdy Doody even owned anymore? But again, like, how do you even put that dummy in there? How's it even happen? Dude, Slappy being on that table like that would have scared me so bad as a kid. It used to scare me watching this, but still, you can't help but get a little uneasy where you can just slightly see the actor moving a little bit. There ain't no way I'd go over there provoking him. Not with a dummy that looks like that. No way. To me, that dummy is scarier looking than something like the Annabelle doll from the Annabelle movies and the Conjuring movies that's supposed to look scary, you know? I love that voice, man. It's so good. It's so good. I wish the Slappy movie version had sounded more like that. I know they kind of have a little bit in there with Jack Black's voice and then the guy who did Slappy and Goosebumps 2. But still, man, I love this voice. I love the way he says gotcha. It gives me excited every single time I hear it. Just get this big stupid grin on my face, just like you can probably hear right now. Real good question right now. I'm assuming they're lit by firelight right now because of the shimmering of the light, you know? So, if that's the case, and you were upstairs, why did you have a fire lit downstairs? Seems a little dangerous. A little negligent. Why would he just run away? I always wondered that. Was it just out of fear to get away and like watch them from around the door? Or what? Lemon. Dude, can you imagine being a kid stuck in this situation? There ain't no way I'd put my hand anywhere near his mouth either. That would be the worst possible decision you could ever make. Now, if you've ever actually held a ventriloquist dummy, like they're mostly just like the modern ones, at least, are mostly like fabric and feathers and stuffing and clothes. Honestly, even if his like chest and stuff are like the old dummies are made of wood, just in that the hands, the head, there's no way if that thing was moving around the way it is inside of that box that 3 kids would struggle to carry that thing together. I don't believe that. Maybe the trunk could be heavier, maybe, but not Slappy himself being able to make that much violent movement. God, I love that house, man. I just can't stop looking at all the environments every time I watch this. I always wonder what kind of movies were in that monster movie marathon Daniel always wanted to see. What if Child's Play was part of that? But it says like monster movies though, so it'd have to be like, I assume like Predator, maybe something more schlocky. I don't know. Bruh. There's something so evil about that. It sounds like something out of a Bentley Little book. Of like a doll being able to vomit up a frog onto a bed while a girl's about to go to sleep and leaning over to the bed lamp, It's like a really horrific version of something out of like Lights Out with a Bentley Little twist with the frog thing. I love it. In other words. So like, what's wrong with your well water? If his footprints are that slimy. Is it mud? Is it dew? It can't be all of it. It had to have come off on the way over there. Digital stink. Alright, so this scene really tripped me up when I was a kid and watched it for the first time. Because I thought I was seeing things. There's the one angle of Zane as an actual dummy, which I don't understand why the mouth moves the way it does. But then it cuts away to a different angle, and it's like the actual actor, Hayden Christensen, sitting there in a chair propped up. And I've always wanted to know if somebody could find Timothy Bond or Hayden Christensen and ask him, hey, did you film it with two different versions there, the whole scene, just to see which worked better, just in case the doll looked really awful, or if you could get away with having a human. I have a feeling it was the cheapo side of trying to get away with just having a human there. I don't know. But the angles where it shows Hayden there with just like a black line around his mouth, like almost like a goatee, is hysterical to me. There it is. And he blinked. He's way taller than he was when he was in dummy form. Do you think Hayden Christensen has that dummy? Oh my god, dude. I would love to find out. It was a great joy when I found out that Stein had that one dummy of himself from the prologue joke thing. There he is again. It was one great joy when I found out that Stein still had it. Do you think Hayden Christensen still has the Zane dummy? I would love to find that out. Somebody needs to talk to Hayden Christensen and ask him. All these wasteful, useless interviewers for Star Wars and wasted my time and didn't ask him about the Zane dummy from Night of the Living Dummy 3 back in the 90s. What kind of waste of space are you if you don't ask Hayden Christensen about something like that? Nah, dude, Daniel has the right move. Run. Get out of there. You literally have an army of dummies that you don't know if they're alive or not. I never knew as a kid when I watched this for the first time if it's implied that they're all actually alive at that current moment. They can't be just because Rocky is the only one who does what he does, but if you've read the book, you know the spoilers there. So, I don't know. I feel like they were gonna do it, and then they chose not to, out of budgetary reasons, which makes sense because it's Goosebumps, and this is a bigger budget episode anyway. But technically Zane is alive too, but why can't Zane move? Is it just a slappy curse magic voodoo thing, or what? Dude, I can't believe how every time I watch this, it just flies by. We have like 10 minutes left of this episode. It's wild to me. You guys have lived here for how long? You never thought to use that? Truth be told, I'll probably watch this episode again by either the end of the week or sometime next week. just because I love it so much, and it's this time of the year that you have to watch this. There ain't no way. I'd be going down that street running for my life. They didn't even try to sneak to that room first. They just ran in, and now they're going to sneak to the attic because they think they might be asleep. Good job, guys. Good game. No, they don't. That's such great atmosphere, man. And that lighter than me thing is something that would totally be done in a modern horror film that somebody should have adopted from this episode. I mean that deeply. It always used to scare me when I'd watch this episode because I always thought about the hand of the dad sticking through the back of that little hole in that chair for the performances, I guess is what it was for. Or puppet shows or whatever that would be. But I always thought that when Trina goes to grab that card out of that seat from where Slappy was sitting, that his hand was going to shoot out from the other side. And every time I watch this, I can't remember in my brain, because I'm getting old, if it happens or not. And then after it doesn't happen, I'm like, oh, that would have been cool. Oh, wait, I thought this every single time I've watched this for 20 years. It's great getting old, kids. Shut up. Who said you could laugh? I love that gangster twang of his voice. It's wonderful. Best voice. Best Slappy voice, I mean. Again, that cutting back and forth between the midget in the costume and then the dummy itself of Rocky is great. I love it. Boy's got some amazing eyebrows, I'll tell you that. See, that's so large scale for a Goosebumps episode of all things. We never had this kind of budget. Or we could throw ventriloquist dummies off the side of the building on a very tall building, too. Little clips on Slappy's hands holding him to the wall. And now you set your house on fire. Good job. I like that little turnaround of the Frankenstein idea. Well, the Boris Karloff Frankenstein, not the Mary Shelley one. I think the lightning bolt hitting Slappy is the best death of Slappy, in my personal opinion. I love the one from the Bride of the Living Dummy episode with the buzzsaw thing. I love that. He turns into a green ghost. Then that one kid up in the bathroom gets the big googly eyes. It's terrifying. It scared me to death when I was a kid. Just like this image of Slappy's head on fire on the ground. I love it. I absolutely love it, man. God, I wish we could have done more with the Goosebumps show. You just know the Disney Plus thing is not going to come close to how fun and how admirable and even beautiful a lot of this can be. Even on the low budget side, it's got a charm to it. On the worst episodes possible, this show can still be good. And then the great episodes with the huge budgets like this, man, I would watch it more than most things in my life and never realized I would do that. You know, Disney's going to kill it, just like they killed Star Wars and everything else I love. Daniel's here wearing his famous Blues Clues show shirt. Messed that one up. Big time. My house. Gotta love that Canadian accent, buddy. What is a bruddy? I don't know. I love the way he says it. He's like, cousins. It reminds me of cousins. It reminds me of recently in the Kenobi show. That one part when Vader's mask is like cracked open, like in every single Darth Vader thing ever. And it's supposed to be Hayden's voice and then James Earl Jones' computerized voice and then a computer AI voice back and forth between all three of them and then the cartoon Clone Wars show's voice. Anyway, when Anakin's talking, he's like, Skywalker. When he says it, it's like unedited, you know? I love that outro with the voice and the puppet strings and the little giggle laugh of the Stein puppet man. It's just wonderful. I love everything about this episode. I know it's got its flaws in a goofy filmmaking way if you're a nitpicker like myself, but literally 98% of this you wouldn't notice any of that, and you would just have fun watching it. It takes me back to this wonderful memory when I was a kid, even though I talked through it the entire time this time around when I talked with you guys about it. I love it, and I love the green goo at the end of the episodes. It's just a wonderful thing. Alright. Well, that is pretty much it, folks. God, it's like almost 5 o'clock. I hope you had a good time. I hope you had as much fun as I had. I had a blast talking about Goosebumps, Night of the Living Dummy 3, Part 1 and Part 2 from 1997's 25th anniversary. It was a great time. I hope you had some fun. I'll leave you with one last cringy story to make your whole soul cringe. Just one more time. So anyway, I don't know how entertaining this video is, by the way. It's just kind of a whatever video to put up because I love Night of the Living Dummy 3, and you never know, you might not live to see the 50th anniversary, or the 35th, or the 45th. I'd rather take the 25th anniversary and try it. Anyway, the last cringy story I have for you. When I was a kid in elementary school, after I'd become a Slappy fan for years, and a Goosebumps fan for a couple of years too, I was in probably 3rd or 4th grade by this time. Maybe 2nd. I don't know, somewhere in that ballpark. But it was a music class, and it was the kind of thing where outside of my school, we actually had like the little temporary art centers. You know what I mean? Like the little trailers outside of the building. And you went out there and you'd have your music class and your art class, and everything else that actually mattered was inside of the building. So, we would have the music class on like Tuesdays, I think is what it was, or maybe every other Tuesday, something like that. And my teacher decided she'd play different theme songs. She was a pianist, and she'd play different theme songs. She played Star Wars. My friends and I got up, all of us pretty much being boys, and we pulled out our invisible lightsabers, basically putting one hand on top of the other in a fist and swinging your fists around, that's pretty much what it was while we, lightsaber fought. And the irony of doing that on the same day as having the Goosebumps theme song played to us was wonderful. Yeah, that happened. I remember there was one song that we had during Halloween season, one time, around this area. Maybe even the same day, I don't know, it's been so long, man. There was one time she was playing some very spooky music, and there's one particular song many people know. I think it's All Skin and Bones, I think is the old, it's not a nursery rhyme, but it's like an old creepy song. It's spooky. If you can't remember the title, All Skin and Bones, look it up. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about if you've heard this as a kid. I've never seen it in a movie or anything. If I ever make a movie in my life or have a book get published, like a full-fledged book, not a poetry collection like I put out in the past, I will put out some kind of reference to All Skin and Bones in that story. Anyway, we were singing that, and we did it like 10 times. It's one of those easily amusing, scary things when you're a kid. And I remember asking her, can we sing it in our favorite characters' voices or scary voices or anything like that? You want to take a guess at the kind of cringe that I inspired that day? I picked a slappy voice. And I thought I had one hell of a slappy voice back then. So I did that in front of everybody while we all sang that All Skin and Bones song. Yeah. So that was a fun memory. My heart hurts thinking about how I did that in public. That's a YouTube or TikTok type of thing. More of a TikTok thing than anything, because that's where you embarrass yourself online. Anyway, so after I just talked about a child's TV show. So, Night of the Living Dummy 3. Do you guys love this? Do you hate it? Put all your thoughts and comments down below. Do you have any stories revolving around any of the episodes? At some point, I don't know if I want to do this. It might just be for this, maybe the Haunted Mask 1 and 2 episodes when they hit big anniversaries. I'll probably do commentaries for those at some point. Maybe even Welcome to Dead House, because I love Welcome to Dead House as well. That, Haunted Mask 2 and Night of the Living Dummy, and How I Got My Shrunken Head were the episodes that I had. Oh, and Werewolf of Fever Swamp. I owned all of those on DVD. They were pretty much the only ones available when I was growing up on DVD, as far as I knew. And I think even to this day, they're like the only ones you could get in the original sets, like this Dummy 3 DVD, where it's just like the 2 episodes by themselves. You can get some now that have like 3 and 4 episodes. But anyway, at that time, I had become very well versed of all these things and watched them to absolute death. I'm surprised my Dummy 3 DVD still works. I'm going to be honest with you. So, anyway, I just wanted to say thank you for sitting here, watching the episode with me, listening to me ramble on forever, because I talked through literally like all of this video. But I had a blast. I love reliving this episode. I love reliving. Let's try that again. Reliving, there we go, the memories with my family, my cousins, Kristen and Trenton specifically, of back in those old days. It was such a great time, still having some of those old ventriloquist dummies that I bought at that time because of this episode, because of this show. It's great, and I love it, and it brings a smile to my face. A lot of my friends and I played in my old backyard back in the day when I was a kid at my grandparents' house on my mom's side. And we would have like the dummies out there with us, and we would like try to scare each other the most, saying we like saw the dummy move when we walked away or anything like that. It was so many great games and just fun times, just things that fueled so much entertainment and so many great memories, man. The older I get, the more I think about more of those old times than I ever have in my entire life. And that must be just a part of getting old, but this show, this episode, helps me relive that. And as I make fun of characters, I make fun of things like cousins, I thought that you guys would have a good time with that. Even if it's the only time I ever do a commentary on this entire channel, I thought it'd be fun. It'd be something different we could all do together to celebrate a 25-year anniversary for something that means so much to me, that may have introduced me to this whole series and made it so important to me. Yeah. But anyway, what are your thoughts on Night of the Living Dummy 3? Once again, put all that down to the comment section down below, folks. I would love to hear what you have to say about it. What do you think about the book? What do you think about the whole Slappy series? Of course, right now we're in the middle of Slappy World being produced. Those are mostly fine. Anyway, it's late. It's almost 5 o'clock. I'm going to go to bed, and I'm going to upload this video later on when I wake up before I go to work. Try to get it put together and whatnot. Anyway, what are your thoughts, folks? Put all that down below, excuse me. And thank you for watching, guys. God bless you. And have a good one. Have a good summer. Hope you enjoy it. And I hope that if you haven't seen this episode before, that you watched it before you listen to me spoil things like Star Wars Kenobi or whatever that crap is called. Anyway, love you guys. Thank you for watching. God bless you once again. And goodbye.